Okay. Well, hi everyone. My name is Dr. Sarah Lozier-Loyola, and I'll be the professor for this class, DCD 301. I am in my first semester at Coastal, so I am new here, and I'm glad that y'all are going to be here to welcome me to my first time teaching here. I'm actually based in Atlanta for right now, and I won't be on campus until January. So if you do need me in person for anything, that's kind of a limitation that we have. But I'm happy to do whatever I need to do online, whether that's virtual meetings, emails, whatever. You can get in touch with me. So this is just a quick video to give you guys a face and a voice to the name on the course register. And I do want to talk a little bit about the class itself, kind of what my expectations are, some of the site navigation, and things like that. So to start, and I'm looking at my notes, so I'm not suddenly scrolling Facebook or anything like that. All right, so just to start, this is a text methods class, DCD 301. It's a digital humanities class, and it's going to include a lot of theory and practice of the ways that digital technologies affect how we think or approach texts. And those of you who've been in English classes or other DCD classes so far probably know that when we say text, we don't necessarily mean written text anymore. That could mean visual, audio, interactive, all different kinds of things. But for this class, we are going to be thinking about written writing text more primarily. So for this class, you should plan to do a pretty good amount of reading. I know it's not an English class, it is a making class, but especially at the beginning of the course, there's going to be some heavy reading. As well, you should plan to do a good amount of making. We're going to make 3 different prototypes, one for each of our core modules, and then at the end you'll collect these into a portfolio using Omeka and the exhibits feature of Omeka. So I'm anticipating that you'll be using 4 new software platforms. Well, I know we're using 4, but I'm anticipating that they're new for you. So our first one will be Twine, which will be used for making a hypertext, and that'll be for your first prototype. The second platform is Anastasia, and that'll be used for marking up text with TEI, which is a form of text-based metadata encoding, and we'll get to that in the second module. The third is Tracery, which is actually a grammar more than it is a software platform, and that'll be for making Twitter bots, which is an option that you have in the final prototype for making a writing generator. And then finally, we'll be using Omeka, as I mentioned, for making exhibits for your final portfolios. And Omeka is a digital humanities platform for archiving and making exhibits. So this fair amount of reading combined with a fair amount of self-directed experimental learning is kind of what I'm looking at for this class. So I do want to be clear that I'm not at all expecting you to become experts with these software systems overnight, or even possibly over the course of this semester. I'm also not expecting you to already know how to use them at all, though some of you might have seen them before. So I do just want to acknowledge and kind of put out there from the beginning that there's going to be a fairly major learning curve to some of these platforms, and you should expect to do a fair amount of trial and error, and you might even have to trash some things that you've made to get to what you actually want to submit. And all of that is okay. That's part of learning how to use new software, and it's part of building digital literacies, and it's part of what you can think of as learning how to learn. So just want to put that right out there from the beginning. Also, this is a Fall 2 class, which you obviously know because we're not even starting until today in the middle of October. So what that means, though, is that we're cramming 15 weeks worth of content and learning into a 10-week session. And it's not even 10 full weeks once you account for Thanksgiving. So this accounts for a lot of why we have a pretty intense pace and a pretty steep learning curve where you're just kind of thrown into the deep end from the beginning. So I do just want to, again, remind you all of that, kind of put that out there, and just a general reminder to try to really stay on top of things as much as you can. That said, though, if you do need extensions, please do reach out to me, and you can see the policy and the syllabus on late work. But do just know that, like, truly, we can run out of time. So there's only so much extending that we can do. All right, so I also want to talk about some of the site navigation, the way that I've set up our Moodle course and where you can find different things. So I am new to Moodle. This is my first time using that, as it's my first time at Coastal, as I mentioned. So I don't really know that things are organized in the most elegant fashion, but hopefully they're not so inelegant that you can't use it and find things on the site. But that said, if you're scrolling down the left menu, you'll see first there's an information block, It also says getting started. And here you can find books about information about the course and then information about me. So in the information about the course book, that's where you'll find your syllabus, the course policies, the course schedule, and then some notes on time expectations, both that you can have for me and that I have for you. And then in the instructor information section, you can find out some more information about who I am, what I work on, what I research, and then also how to get in touch with me, since as I mentioned, I'm not on campus, so I'm not holding office hours this semester. All right, so our next step down the left menu, we have our forums. So I've set up 4 general discussion forums for the class, and they may or may not get traffic. That's okay. So the first one is just for general announcements. That'll be mostly from me, but of course you're welcome to comment and respond if you have questions for clarifying any of the announcements or any of the things I have to say. The second one is our peer-to-peer tech support forum. So as I mentioned, you'll be learning a lot of new software platforms, and I want you to be able to collaborate here and help each other out as you might in a face-to-face lab. So I'm going to monitor this forum, and I'll dip in periodically if things go on far too long and you guys just are floundering and totally lost. But for the most part, I want to be kind of hands-off here and let you all figure things out and guide each other and so on. So our next forum is questions, comments, and concerns about the class. This is for questions related to class administration, due dates, assignment specs, and stuff like that. So if there's stuff here that you want to post, make sure it's okay that you're okay publicly discussing things. So these are questions you might ask in a class like, hey, professor, when are things due? Or hey, professor, when are we going to get our grades? Those kinds of questions. It's not the appropriate forum to ask something like, I got a B on this assignment and I think I should have gotten an A. That, of course, would be a private conversation between you and me. So email would be better for that kind of question. Okay, and then finally, there's a forum for further discussion. Again, this is kind of, in a face-to-face class, you can imagine a lecture or questions or conversations where things might go on tangents, or might be able to talk in office hours or after class about some cool ideas that you're thinking of. So that's what this forum is for. So if there's something that you find really interesting, maybe something from lecture, something from one of the readings, or if not interesting, maybe just like a concept you're still really grappling with, this would be the place to do that. Again, this is something where I will dip in and out, but this is not meant to be a you asking me forum. This is a forum for you all to discuss and think things through together, with me kind of also there guiding and dipping in periodically. All right, our next block is a note on etiquette and course conduct. Please read this. Please keep it in mind. I don't anticipate problems, but as with any virtual space, we need to make sure that we can keep it free of trolling and online hostility, which I think we've all probably experienced far too much of that on the internet. We don't need to make our class a space like that. All right, our next block is the weekly modules. Here, there's a book for each week, which will include a proposed schedule for handling the reading and handling the work. You'll find the readings themselves, lecture videos, and a reminder about whatever assignments are due that week. Okay, so the following 3 blocks are specific to assignments. The first one is the course blog block. So, this semester you'll be doing a lot of public writing. And by public writing, I mean the whole class will be able to see things, not the whole world. And we're going to do this almost every week. It'll be 7 times, so there's a few weeks where we're sitting them out. But you can find here the prompts for the blogs, the due dates, and then also a Moodle form that's going to act as the blog. So I just want to clarify we're using a forum because as far as I can tell, Moodle doesn't have a blog feature. And I haven't yet figured out how Coastal feels about third-party applications and FERPA violations. So this semester we're playing it super safe, keeping things in Moodle instead of going out to something like WordPress or a truly public blog. All right, the next block is Omeka milestones. So the final portfolios you're turning in you're going to be turning those in as Omeka exhibits. And these are going to be hosted on the course-wide Omeka site. This is going to be done during finals week. And the course will no longer be officially meeting. We won't have any classwork anymore. And I'm anticipating that you'll be studying and prepping for other finals besides just this class. So rather than throw you in and be like, cool, figure out a new software program in the last week of the entire semester, I've built in 5 different milestones through this semester to help you get familiar with the software so that hopefully by that last week, you're just focusing on preparing the portfolio, working on the design, working on finalizing your prototypes, and not the learning curve of a new platform. All right, so all that information and those milestones are in that section of the site. All right, and then finally the prototypes block. This is where you'll see all the information you need about the 3 prototypes you'll be making this semester. This will include stuff like the assignment specs themselves, grading, everything like that. There's nothing there yet, so if you don't see that section, don't freak out. I have it hidden because there's nothing there, but it will be there. All right, so I hope that this clarifies the site navigation a little bit. If you can't find things or I've left things hidden, which I know the prototypes are hidden, but sometimes I might accidentally leave a blog prompt hidden or something like that. This is exactly what the questions, comments, and concerns forum is for. So please post to that. And I will not at all be offended or upset if you're like, Professor, you forgot X, Y, and Z. That's totally fine. I will forget X, Y, and Z. All right, so a final note on time expectations. As you all know, this course is entirely asynchronous, so that makes organizing the time a little challenging, at least for me. So for my own sanity, all right, I'm going to be treating this like it's a face-to-face class with concrete meeting days and concrete deadlines. So for me, I'll be imagining that the class meets on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So lectures will be posted on each of these days by 5 p.m., and the suggested schedule for handling the readings at the beginning of each week will reflect that imagined schedule. So when you see things there like Tuesday, read X, Y, and Z, that means that the lecture that I post on Tuesday will assume that you've already read and dealt with that content. To be very, very, very clear though, you do not have to adhere to this schedule. This is a schedule for my sanity and for me. The only schedule that you need to follow in terms of your grade and your assessment in the class is getting everything done, which means your readings, lectures, and blog posts on a weekly basis, with everything being due by Saturday at 11:59 p.m. So when you actually read things, when you watch the lectures, when you write your blog post, as long as it's within that parameter, that's entirely up to you and your schedule. But again, there is a suggested schedule and a suggested pace for each week that might make your life a little bit easier, a little bit more manageable if you have the freedom to follow that. Okay, so that is it for this first welcome video. Again, welcome to the class. I'm looking forward to the semester. I hope you all are too. So do stay tuned to the site for today's lecture, which will be up by 5 p.m. And you'll also have the first blog post prompt posted here pretty soon. So thanks and welcome to the course.